Many thanks for joining us. We start off from Parliament this afternoon because there was a struggle to bring relief to thousands of persons hit hard by the tidal waves in the Volta region, and is generating some form of controversy in Parliament. Anytime this issue comes up, there are concerns about whether residents may have contributed to where we are in terms of the tidal wave here. But see what happened in Parliament earlier today.
Let's react to it. Let me introduce you.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention for 1 second?
When you were talking,
you said you beat me.
When you were talking, nobody came here. So leave here. When you were talking, nobody came here.
So all this is about a photograph of residents engaging in sun-winning activities in the Volta region, and majority MPs had addressed the press. But my colleague, Kwesi Parker-Wilson, will join me shortly with all the details. Okay, we have Parker-Wilson joining us with all the details of what actually happened. Parker, we've seen the videos now. Give us a rundown of what exactly happened in Parliament.
MFR, before the start of the business for the day, we received information or communication from the majority caucus of an intended press conference. And so when we arranged our cameras and microphones, the deputy majority leader, Alexander Afenyomarkin, came with a photograph. And I'm sure you've seen that photograph. Now, in that photograph, it's captured some tipper trucks and individuals allegedly engaging in sun-winning activities along the Keta coastal line. In fact, according to the majority, that particular photograph was captured by Cover Ghana. And so they used the photograph as a basis to make the point that the tidal waves, as you've seen lately, are happening in the Volta region. You can talk about Keta, you can talk about Alon, and then the Ketu South is largely due to activities of sand winning. And so, whilst addressing the media, Emmanuel Amakofiboa, the Elembele MP, together with the Saudai MP, Roxy Nelson Dafiemepo, started heckling them and making the point that that particular photograph that they are using to back their claim is not a photograph that was captured at the Keta coastal line. Or essentially, what is there is not Keta coastal line, but however, we don't know where that one is coming from. So that was the point the minority guys were making. So almost at the end of the presser, Roxy Nelson Dafiemepo and then the Bole Bamboy MP, at the time he had joined, Yusuf, snatched the photograph from the hands of the deputy majority leader, Alexander Afenyomarkin. So quickly, the Inshirese MP, Stephen Amwa, also moved in to ensure that he retrieves the photograph from Roxy Nelson Dafiemepo, who at the time was in possession of the photograph. And that led to the misunderstanding and the scuffle and the brawl that he saw in the video. In fact, it went on for some time, even though the Minister for Works and Housing, Asensi Boakye, at the time was just about addressing the media. This kind of scuffle was still ongoing until he finished, he addressed the media, he left, and the minority guys also took their turn to come and address the media. So that was actually what led to the scuffle. A photograph capturing alleged illegal activities of sand winning along the Keta coastal line, which according to the minority, that is not Keta coastal line. So if you ask me, what led to the brawl? This is what led to the brawl.
Thankfully, whilst we were on the midday news on the radio, you got to interact with the deputy majority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, who was in the thick of affairs with Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekpo on this before Dr. Stephen Amwa joined as well. Let's briefly get that interaction you had with Alexander Afenyo-Markin, and I'll get back to you on it, Paka.
I would want to show you a picture. This is what is happening at Keta, and if you go to Wikipedia, you will see this is a report, sun winning activity in Keta coastal area, and the source is coverghana.com.gh as of February 9, 2021. As of February 9, 2021. This is what is happening there. Now, per our research and the research of the majority, we relied on fourthestate.com. They have done some work in that area, and they titled that work, "Dear Sea, you are invited into our homes. The sand is gone." We have also some work done by Salifu, which is titled "Relocation Based on Slow Onset Climate-Induced Environment Change in Keta." And then you have some other individuals, Ado, K.A., and Jason Koshiga, and Boateng. These are all research done in that area regarding the tidal waves and if the activity involving sun winning giving rise to the devastating effect of this, and rather making the people there more vulnerable. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the records, we want to state that the entire coast of Keta is under serious threat due to its soft geology and low-lying topography, climate change, and the climate change has effect on the physical effect that have caused the sea levels to rise in recent years, resulting in higher tides that overflow their shores and end up in the communities along the Keta coast. Part of Keta's sandy earth is swept away and transported by the natural force of tidal waves during sea erosion. Tidal waves are already powerful, but they are aided even more by climate change, which causes extreme weather patterns. Several consequences could be expected from the sea level rise in Ghana. In particular, low-lying sandy coastal areas in the eastern coast, such as the Volta Delta and Keta Lagoon, could be profoundly affected. So clearly, these are facts. And as a result of the sun winning, matters are getting complicated. So I would plead that much as government is making effort to provide relief, the relief items are themselves not the solution. They are temporary relief after the whole thing has occurred. But then what steps can we take? And this is where I am appealing to stakeholders in that region to work together with those involved in sun winning, because the research is clearly pointing to the fact that these activities are making the people there more vulnerable, and it will cost the nation more money in terms of recovery, in terms of settling these people. So for emphasis, I am calling once again on our colleagues in the Volta region to look at this as a national disaster and not look out for scoring cheap political points. Because obviously, we never heard them talk about the human activities going on at the Keta area, which has led to the unbearable effect of what we are seeing today. And in all the address, not a single statement was made. Meanwhile, the activities of sun winners are all over the place. And it's recorded, it's on the internet, it's happening daily.
So that's the press conference that was held by the majority that sparked that near fisticuff earlier, and it's that picture that generated all that controversy, leading to the Saudi MP, Roxanne Nelson Dafamekpo, walking into that press conference to dispute that particular picture or photograph that was put out by the majority to support their claims that residents are engaging in sun-winning activities that led to the tidal wave that we've just seen that devastated 15 communities, up to 4,000 residents affected, 200 to 300 homes, all affected in these 15 communities, including the Keta and Mloga, amongst other areas. My colleague Kwesi Parker Wilson is still with us. So Parker, this is how it all started before we saw that brawl between the minority and the majority side. Well, I know the minority also got an opportunity to address the media on all this after that near encounter. Tell us about it.
That's correct, MF. Now, thankfully for me, I have with me the man who actually addressed the media on the minority side, Roxanne Nelson Dafamekpo, with me. Honorable, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Let me just engage him quickly. Now, first of all, the challenge about the photograph, which captured the alleged activities of sand winning in the Keta coastal line. You say that is not Keta?
Yes, I am an indigene of the area. And I know the coastline for a fact between Aflau to Anyangwi. The photograph they brought to show journalists was a photograph of a beach or of a coast that has a forest and perhaps a hillock pounded by the waves. There's no such landmark on the coastline of Keta, Aflau, Jita, Blekusu, or Anyangwi in our area. So first of all, the photograph upon which they relied to suggest that the tidal waves, as they are causing destruction in our homeland, it's not due to natural disaster, but it is due to sun winning.
But it doesn't negate the fact that indeed there is some activity.
So,
MC for
no, it may be so, but he never, in that video, he only granted an interview as I'm doing. He never led the cameraman to where the sun winning activities were taking place. So I am not underplaying the importance or the disastrous effect of sun winning. But I am saying that the evidence that the deputy majority leader brought to rely on can never be of Keta.
But then again, the deputy majority leader says that your side of the house, and of course I've been in the chamber, at all material times when you raise the concerns about the devastation caused by the tidal wave, you never mention the sun winning. And that is quite some kind of dishonesty on your part because you know this is happening and yet you fail to talk about it.
Hold on. The disastrous effect of the tidal waves we speak of cannot be as a result of sun winning. When you do that, you are demonstrating a certain lack of understanding of the natural causes of the tidal waves. Tidal waves will pound even in a hilly coastline when the sea level rises. So what is happening is not about sun winning. It is such a natural phenomenon that is affecting the entire coastline of the Republic of Ghana. That is why, as we speak, the government of Ghana is spending huge sums of money to undertake sea defense projects in Keta, in Jita, in Adan, in Pram Pram, between Tema and Accra, that stretch, that coastline, at Elmina, at Discoff, at Takrady, at Axim. So is the deputy majority leader saying that where the sea is causing destruction on the coastline is due to sun winning? So we shouldn't speak of causes that are not true to the disaster happening. What is happening is as a result of climate change, an effect of climate change. So we are saying that in the meantime, bring some comfort to the people. What are these? Shelter, food items. Hold on. By being done, no, as we speak.
NADMO has provided relief items to
the victims. Hold on, when? As we speak, it is the voter caucus members, supported by other opinion leaders in this country, who have donated items, and we are doing the distribution as I speak to you. Only about 3 of us are in Accra. All of our colleagues are doing the distribution now. So when you come and say, instead of sympathizing with the people, you come and suggest that They are in this state of distress because of their own activities of sand winning. You are not showing sympathy. You are not showing. No, that is what we have seen. Because you could have sympathized with the people and still call attention to the activities of people who are engaged in illegal sand winning. That would have been proper. But to say that the minority, especially the Volta caucus members, are playing propaganda with the tidal waves crisis and giving the government a bad name, when we ought to know that the disaster in question was caused as a result of sand winning by the people in Keta. You think the people in Keta will be happy when they hear this? So let us be very fair in the things we say. You saw that this morning there's some information there that there was a disagreement.
Yeah, I was
yes, it was because
you and Stephen Amwa.
Yes, it was because
you threatened to assault him.
I didn't threaten. What I did was that the photograph they brought to show to you journalists, I asked that they should give me the photograph so I can demonstrate to you that the photograph they brought is a fake photograph. They won't give it to me. So I allowed it to pass. That in any case, we will react and rebut the things they have told journalists to carry. In an attempt to do so, the honorable member for Inshaisu now says that he will come and disrupt our press conference. That was what happened.
That's what he told you?
Yes.
That he would disrupt your press.
But you saw it from the video. Why do you think your colleagues were taking him away? Because we had come to the podium about to make a present to rebut. Then you come and say that you will disrupt it because you will not allow us to rebut the things you have said. And I told him to get away because that is not how things are done in Parliament. And he won't understand. And he insulted me in Hausa, and I replied. So that was all about it.
But that video has gone very viral. In fact, our viewers on JoyNews and other places have seen the video, and you've been condemned. I mean, both of you say your conduct clearly were unparliamentary. Upon several reflection, you'll get it.
If I want to, you have finished your press conference, I want to react and rebut, and then you want to come and stampede that process, I have a duty to ward you off. I had a duty.
He's your colleague, can't he? I mean,
yes.
You could find a way of solving this amicably.
No, that was why I cautioned him that he should stay away so that we can do and rebut the propaganda they have put. As a government, they have not demonstrated commitment to bringing comfort to our people. And it's a pain. When people elect you to be their leader, you have to show leadership. And that is what the Volta caucus we have done.
So you did not regret your actions by warding him off?
I just cautioned him. I didn't touch him. I didn't say anything to him. I just cautioned him that he should stay away. It was your colleague journalist who took him away. So people should understand the context. He came to attack, and he was taken away. I didn't attack him. I continued to hold the press conference and disabuse the minds of the people regarding the things they said. That tidal waves are not caused by sand winning.
Now, finally, a direct question to you. The Deputy Majority Leader talked about the sand winning activities. Some we've heard that already, and he's charging the Volta caucus to begin a campaign to halt activities. Is this something that you and your colleagues will begin this campaign? Because at the end of the day, it leaves people within the coast very vulnerable to the tides.
Again, my brother is my colleague. We've been classmates we've been friends for almost 20 years. So, right from University of Cape Coast to law school and all, and we'll be very close. This morning, he was emotional. He knows for a fact that sand winning activities are regulated by the district assemblies. So because they issue permits for the people who do the sand winning to operate, in addition to the concession permit that they are granted by the Minerals Commission. So it is the duty of the assemblies to regulate that properly. Now, the MPs can come in and help in terms of advocacy against illegal sand winning, not legal sand winning. So if he speaks of the activities of illegal, I know that his government has a policy against galamsey. All those things fall under galamsey. So is this a illegal sand winning, which is an extraction of mineral from the ground, does not fall part of the anti-galamsey activities? Is he saying that? So as a government, they should be speaking towards the policies they are fashioning to combat these things. But yes, as the elected representative of the people, it is my concern to ensure that we encourage the people not to engage in some of these illegal activities, which have disastrous environmental consequences for us. But with all due respect to everyone listening and viewing us, the tidal waves, the disaster that has struck my people in Anglon as a result of the rising tidal waves, it's not caused by sand winning activities.
Thank you very much. So that was the Member of Parliament for Southern Constituency, Roxanne Nelson Dafiameko. He addressed the media, and of course, just as he had him, that photo is fake, and that the tidal waves, obviously, is not caused by activities of sand winning. But let me say that the Minister responsible for Works and Housing, shortly after the presentation by the Deputy Majority Leader, also addressed the press briefly. Now, the point he made to us was that, well, next week will be the budget presentation for the year 2022, and that the provision for the construction of a sea defense wall will be captured in the budget, which will be presented by the Finance Minister on Wednesday.
Okay, so then, Parker, how did everything go to bed then? How did we resolve everything? After the minority press conference, nothing else happened. Everybody was okay. Okay. It appears my colleague Parker is unable to hear me. But let's listen to the Works and Housing Minister. He also has been addressed in the media.
Then we have started on it, and I'm very hopeful that very soon we will come to terms with the funding and we'll be able to go back to sites. Like I said, all the preparations have been done, technical evaluations, even the contractor who will do it has been identified. So it's now to raise the money. And we have started serious engagement with the Ministry of Finance, and very soon I'm very hopeful that we'll be able to get the money to go to site. I'm very hopeful that he will say something about it.
So that's the Works and Housing Minister there, Francis Asenso Boachi. They're also addressing the media in Parliament. As and when we get any more development, we'll go to my colleague Parker Wilson in Parliament. But my colleague Maxwell Ogbogba has been covering this devastation for us throughout. It's been this is the third day, but thankfully Maxwell Ogbogba is back. We'll get to interact with him shortly, but watch this.
It is still high tide at Fuveme. The tidal waves that hit this community left in its trail uprooted coconut trees, collapsed residential structures and school buildings. 60-year-old Knowledge Diwanu giving instructions to a carpenter who is removing the roofing sheets of what he now describes as his former building. He says he was in his room when the disaster struck. Like him, many residents have lost hope that the situation will get better. He says many of them are now resorting to palm branches and thatch for their buildings as they fear any other expensive material used will be a wasted investment.
I can say that I was born in 1974 in my house. This is my house. From here to the seashore is about 1,500 meters when I was very young. Okay. Yeah, 1,500 meters from the sea when I was very young. But up to this time, you can now see the sea from here is about 30 meters. So the sea is gradually coming, getting nearer to us. Since I was in 1980s to 1990s, the sea is coming gradually. We are shifting from concrete to coconut branches because of the sea waves. Because if you build the house, the sea destroys. Nobody do anything for us. In 1998, the sea destroyed the Fuvema land. It destroyed some part of the Fuvema land. Therefore, people relocated somewhere in part of the Fuvema again. But in 2016, the sea has destroyed the Fuvema again and destroyed the property of the government, that is the building of the school building. The school has been destroyed by the tidal waves in 2016. So they relocated and built another school at a new place called Agokaji. It's also a suburb of Fuvama. Agokaji is a suburb of Fuvama. So the engineers, they all come and make assess and they do the assessment that the school can be relocated there so that the sea will not destroy it. And by that time, the place where the school was relocated was about 1,000 meters from the sea. But now you can see it is about 25 to 30 meters from the sea.
Unless they can't make something here.
Moses Akoli is the community leader of Fuvame. He says they have given up on using expensive materials for their buildings because they always end up in the ocean.
Formerly, the community is far from here. It's far from here. But through the sea, the tidal of the sea, that is why we came here. So formerly, the town is not here. Fuvame community is not here. But through the tidal waves of the sea, that is why we came here. Formerly, we used block to build our houses, but at now we are using the coconut branches to build our house because we can't use the block to build our house again because the sea is taking the houses and then the block away.
So from our change of subject,
I'm now at the Fuvame Basic School where final year students are preparing for their final examinations next week. According to teachers, over 200 students now study in 2 classrooms after tidal waves destroyed portions of the school on Sunday. Francis Nomanyu is a teacher at the Fuvame Basic School. He says the situation is affecting academic work.
Okay, this class used to be the JHS3 class. Once we have this class, the first one, JHS3. Once we have the JHS1 and 2 there.
Okay.
And this used to be our staff, where we sit as teachers. Yeah, this class, yeah. This is where we sit, the staff common room for the teachers. And then this is class 6. So, you see, as you can see, we don't have enough classroom earlier. So we combine class 6 and then class 5 in this class.
Okay.
Yeah, and over here we have class 3 and 4 here.
Okay.
And you have class 1 there, class 1 and 2 there, and then KG1 and KG2 there. Okay. That is how we used to live in the school.
And that has been destroyed?
Yeah, it has been destroyed. Effective teaching can go on when we combine, let's say, from KG1 to JHS3. We cannot do any effective teaching. Okay. So we are only attending to the JHS3 for now because they will be starting their BEC on Monday. That is 15th of this month.
This is not the first time.
Awia is the municipal secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers. He's here to do an assessment of the situation. He says urgent government intervention is needed.
This is not the first time this is happening in this environment. It has been happening every year. But looking at the situation now, this one is more devastating. Where the children are to stay and then study have been taken over by the sea.
A bit of what Maxwell Awaba experienced when he went to these communities, and we're glad to have Maxwell Awaba back with us, safe and sound. He wasn't devastated by the tidal waves, and he joins me in studio. Maxwell, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Always. Ghana Kovenam.
Abobi, Abokuara.
Okay. Okay. So, I was saying we are doing showcasing the way. Okay, so let's talk about what you saw, your experience. On how many days were you there?
We're there for like about 4 days, yeah. 4 days. Or 3 days. I think 3 days, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your experience there.
Well, part of it, still indescribable. I would say that some of the things that we captured, we're able to capture, I mean, you see the drone shots, we're able to capture the devastation, we're able to capture the plight of people, put it out there. But I feel that we're not able to capture enough the emotions of the people. Not because we didn't do a good job, but just that there was no way we could capture the real emotions of the people. Yeah, because you walk through the community and life, I mean, like all activities, some communities that used to see a beehive of activity no longer there. People wake up in the morning and all they're doing is to think is to think about where their next meal is going to come from. At night, usually people would sit down, eating food together with their families, sharing nice conversations about what happened during the day. By this time, the moment is 7 p.m., you get them moving out of the community to go and sleep elsewhere. And for a place like Salakope in the Ketu South municipality, you find people boarding cars. And the distance from Salakope to Angloga, really it's quite a distance. I mean, Keta is very close. So it's quite understandable when people are moving to Keta just to go and sleep. But for those who move all the way to Angloga to go and sleep, then that tells you that there's a real problem, there's a real challenge. I had my own devastating moments when I was doing a live report on News Desk. Benjamin Akakbo, was hosting, and I was speaking to Benjamin, and I was reporting. Then there was this woman who just came into the frame, and she was crying, and was like, "I've lost everything." She was holding a big cloth, and in that cloth, she had her clothes, in there. And a 4-year-old daughter also standing very close to her, crying, And she narrated to me about how at night they were sleeping 1 a.m. I mean, she felt very cold on the bed, so she got up just to check what was happening. She moved her leg, and the next thing, it was water, splash of water. Then she realized that no, something terrible is happening. She came out. She realized all her neighbors were actually outside. Then she got to know that something really bad is happening. And she actually told me that, but for her neighbors, her daughter would have been dead. Her daughter would have been washed away by the
because
ocean.
she was sleeping on the floor.
Yeah, because she was sleeping on the floor and all of that. Okay. Yesterday, I thought that was the worst that I'd seen. But when we went to Fuvome, that was another place also. If you get to Anyanui, you would have to board a canoe to get to this community that I'm talking about. Okay. And there are no life jackets. And I'm told Fuvome means island. Yeah, right? Fuvome. Okay. Fu means sea, right? Sea? And then Voma means, like... More like the valley in the sea. Valley in the sea. Okay. So, right. Yeah. There were no life jackets, and we didn't want to risk it. Thankfully, we had a 4-wheel drive we were using. So we decided to go. Even the 4-wheel drive we were using, it wasn't easy getting access to this community. And so because it's very close to the ocean and you have a lot of sand there, regular cars cannot move in it. Okay. So the people just have one option. It's either you do the canoe without a life jacket to the community, or you walk from Anyanui, that's the end of the road, to this community. And walking should be like 50 minutes. Oh. Yeah. Okay. And we told that people commute from this place daily. For those who do not feel comfortable using the canoe, they have to commute. There is no vehicle whatsoever. Okay. So just so we know, how many communities were you able to cover within the number of days that you were there? We were able to get to about 6 or 7 communities. Okay. Out of the 15. Yeah. We were able to get to about 6 or 7 communities. But the first day we got there, I thought that was when we got to Salakope and I went to Amutinu. I thought, okay, so this is the hardest hit area of this tidal waves we're talking about. That actually wasn't the hardest hit. So if you realize we spent a lot of time at Amutinu and Salakope. Yeah. We spent a whole day there because we thought that was the worst hit. Yeah, that was the worst hit because roads were being washed away, a cemetery had been submerged, a school also now just about 20 meters away from the ocean. What else would I be seeing which is more terrible, more terrible than this? Then I spoke to the NADMO Deputy Director General, and he told me about some of the communities which are like the hardest hit. We said, okay, let's visit those communities. We got there and I'm like, whoa. This is it. This is. I mean, Fuvame, for instance, the entire community half of the community is gone. Half of the community is gone. And you go there, all the buildings you see in the community are palm fronts and thatch. And that is what they're moving to now because all the concrete buildings.
They tell you it's a waste to build it with concrete when you know you're going to lose it again.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about, since you mentioned Nadmo, for instance, you were there when relief arrived. Actually, we're live on the pulse when the relief items arrived from Accra, and you saw the distribution. How many communities would you say they were able to cover?
Well, that would be difficult to tell. But when they brought the relief items from Accra, we followed the team, and their first port of call was Kejikope, where we had people sleeping in the community center. But people I interacted with actually told me that they do not think that the relief items that they brought were, some of them. But some of them, you speak to them, and they tell you that, oh, we understand the enormity of the problem. We know that we have close to 4,000 people to serve. So, I mean, even though it's not enough, we should be okay, we should be fine. Because I spoke to the Kejikope assembly member, and he was telling me that the relief items were not enough. Because he was telling me they brought only 7 mattresses to Kejikope.
7?
Yeah, that's what he told us. And he said it wasn't enough, and that the people need more, more items to get the needed relief. But some of the people, you speak to them, and they kind of like appreciate what
they could be. So we'll talk about education, which for me is the hardest hit or worst affected sector when it comes to everything that we've seen, the devastation that you've reported on. But this issue about where the residents have been sleeping, some of them were sleeping rough the first night. The woman you interacted with had to wait for church service to be over before she could pass the night. Tell us about how the situation was.
That was another heartbreaking point for me, because evening time, we wanted to see what was going to happen. Evening time, how people were sleeping, and there was a day when they had dawn just to see how people were sleeping. God. At a point, we went to the shoreline of Salakofe, and there's this, I mean, there are many roofless buildings there now, and you'll be shocked to see people using their clothes, and then in the corner of the roofless building, run-down structure now, a structure that is not even fit to be called a hen coop, you find people sleeping in a corner somewhere, exposed to the harsh weather. Because this is, even if you're sleeping in a room by the ocean, at dawn it can get really cold. Imagine a roofless building with no windows, and it's just your clothes on the floor.
On the bed with just their clothes. No mattress.
No mattress. Clothes on the floor, and then sleeping in the corner, and
with their children.
There was a point where I saw a woman with 2 children, all huddled closely together, and you could tell that they were feeling very cold, And this was dawn, and they were still sleeping in those roofless, structure.
Well, heartbreaking scenes that you've seen. But let's talk about education. We know that on Monday, for instance, BEC is starting, and we'll be hearing from Ken Ashigbe on this. He's been asking that something is done about it for these children who will be writing. But you visited a number of schools that have been affected. In Fuvuma, you reported that 2 classrooms are being used for the entire school. One for the JHS3, and from KG to JHS2 are all crammed up in one classroom.
In one classroom, so in 2016, they lost their first school to the ocean. And then just this Sunday also, part of the school building collapsed. They told me that when the first one submerged, they moved to a new area thinking that the ocean will not get closer to them. But it looks like they move, the ocean gets closer, they move, the ocean gets closer. And this time around, the building just collapsed. When we went to the community, we saw a lot of children just strolling, playing along the beach. Some of them were in school, but there were many others also who were not in school, just taking a stroll along the beach. We saw a lot of exercise books strewn, on the floor, all over, wet, destroyed. They showed them to me, and they told me that these are our books, and we're supposed to be preparing for the basic education certificate examination. All the notes that I had written, some of them washed into the ocean. This one is so wet, I can't even open it. When I open it, the pages get torn. I don't have any notes to study for the basic education certificate examination. And I have to rely on friends in adjoining communities, you know, to be able to study. So for them, I think if they really need some kind of mental fortitude to be able to face this examination, because I cannot imagine how, after going through all of this, they will have to sit down to write, you know, their basic education. I feel they will not have they will not be in a right state of mind to do that, because even the adults who you would think would have a very strong, you know, will have the mental fortitude to withstand some of these things. Many of them, it's heartbreaking for them.
Well, so that's interesting, and I don't want to be in your place in terms of the things that you've seen in these communities that you visited, but do you get the sense that the people still have hope, that somebody cares about them? There's hope, they still have hope? When
the relief items started delaying, the issue took a political, you know, twist. With some of the residents saying that they feel that because the place, Volta region, is not the so-called World Bank of the NPP, that is why government, you know, has neglected them and not paying the necessary attention to their plight. So many of them very angry about it, you know, complaining bitterly and all of that. I spoke to the chief fisherman. He was very angry, you know, about it. But when the relief items started coming in, I mean, they were happy at a point. But the issue is, people have been talking and suggesting relocation and all of that. When you speak to the people on the ground, they tell you that this is where our source of livelihood is. So there's a lagoon, there's the sea, and some of them go fishing in the lagoon and the sea. And that's how they make money to feed their families. So for someone like that, if you take him out of his community, his ancestral home in, let's say, Salakope, and you bring him here to Accra,
it's difficult.
Yeah, how is he going to survive? You may find a job for him, but he may not be content with what he's doing here in Accra.
But did the waters recede while you were there?
Yeah, it receded. Even on Monday when we went there, the people told me that it had receded.
Okay.
Yeah, comparative to, much better comparative to what they saw Sunday dawn. The MC himself told me that the water at the point was reaching the chest level. He said when he visited the community, Salakope and Ketu South, when he came, some of the residents, the water was at their chest level. And indeed, I saw the flood marking on some of the buildings. It was getting very close to the window level. And these are structures about 500 meters away from the shoreline.
Okay.
You know? And so it tells you the extent of what we saw and the damage that, you know, it caused, because it crossed the road. The seawater actually crossed the road and entered the ocean.
Okay.
And with the drone shots that we have, I mean, you can actually see that the people are now some way, somehow trapped between the ocean and then the lagoon and all of that.
Maxwell, thank you very much. And we know that you'll be back there soon. But in spite of all this, though, I'm sure you enjoyed the Volta region.
Oh yeah, I really did. I mean, the beaches were
the beaches and everything.
Super clean. Even after what happened, the beach was still so clean, and I was shocked. If this had happened in Accra, you see a lot of garbage, you know, at the shoreline and all of that. It was still clean. It was
still clean, yeah. From the pictures that we saw. And
powdery white. The
but great reporting.
Thank you.
Maxwell, thank you very much. So that's my colleague Maxwell Agbagba there, just returning from the Volta region. He's been to a number of communities that were devastated by these tidal waves over the weekend, and then throughout the week, and he's returned safe and sound with us. Well, some eminent Ghanaians from the region are mobilizing more support and relief items for persons affected by this devastation. So we know that NADMO, we're told, had been doing something about it, but that is certainly not enough. We can hear from the head of marketing and communications of Stanbic Bank Ghana, Malco Afajin, who says corporate Ghana and some Ghanaians have already responded positively.
And on the ground, we have groups like Caring Sisters. They've been there. Caring Sisters of Anglo, they've been there for over the years. We have to reach out and support them in whichever way and form. What it is Ken and the rest of the team are putting in place the right structure so that we are able to support things like communally shared facilities. We're able to ensure that almost everybody, in fact, everybody who's been impacted is reached and supported directly, and you can be part of that. You can do it by sending just your little money. I mean, even if it's whatever amount you are able to give, the widow's mite will make a difference in the situation. My focus is also, as I said initially, primarily on the corporates. I mean, this is a moment. There's a moment where you have to be the difference maker. Those are the moments that matter. This is why quality corporate citizenship is important. And you know, for the corporates, the focus is always on the social dimension, the environment, and governance. And this is where you have to go and really make an impact on the society. And so whatever it is that you are able to give, I mean, allocate a portion of your CSR budget or a portion of your emergency money to this cause. But beyond the corporates, for every Ghanaian and every person in this country, look, you can make a difference, and whatever you give would touch someone, would change a life, would give someone hope, reason to believe, and confidence in our country as Ghanaians.
That's Malco Afajinu there. We've also been hearing from Ken Nashigbe, who is also leading this, mentioning that something should be done about the situation for students who are preparing to write their BC starting on Monday because of how affected they've been by this devastation. We'll take a quick break on that note here on the Pulse. When we return, we'll talk about African swine flu, and we know that hundreds of pigs have been killed as a result. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. Let's talk about the African swine fever. More than 2,000 pigs have died after contracting what veterinary officers say is the African swine fever. The incident, which occurred within a 3-week period, has affected more than 50 farmers in the pig farm cluster in the adjacent municipality of the Ashanti region. Prince Apia has been reporting on it.
That was 2 months ago, and this place had so much life. Today, seated under this tree are frustrated and confused swine farmers. This has become their routine. They come here to chat among themselves and deliberate on ways to get back to business.
Ordinarily, in every pig farm, you are greeted by loud oinks from the pigs. But this cannot be said for this particular farm because more than 1,000 of the pigs here have died from the African swine fever. So today, it is dead silence.
Pig farmer George J counts his losses as he takes me round the farm. 2 weeks ago, he noticed changes in his pigs to a strange disease which will later be identified as the African swine fever. For 7 years, this is the first time he is experiencing this.
Those pens that are affected, you see 1 or 2 of these pigs, they are not active, they won't try to eat, but normally, that's we do. Commonly, we will try to touch them and feel their body temperature. But in fact, honestly speaking, throughout my experience, 7 years, I've never felt this kind of temperature before. Extremely hot Then the animal will be breathing in a strange manner that call for immediate attention. Some of them too, you see the color, the body color changed. Some change light brownish, some yellowish color. And then one or two we've observed, some sort of blood will be oozing from the ear and then the eyes.
Mr. J is part of the Jeso cluster of over 50 pig farmers who are the worst hit by the disease. He has lost more than 35,000 cedis from the current situation.
We have, myself alone, I have approximately 30 pens. On the average, if you are considering the number of farmers and pens available here from this end to that end, we are looking at not less than 3,000 pigs produced annually. And then we normally start to sell them to the markets when they are 50 kilos and above. So if we are taking the lowest kilo margin, that is 50 kilos, and multiplying that by 3,000, it means we are producing approximately 150,000 kilos of pork, that's pig meat, and that's equivalent to 150 tons of meat. Some people have lost tons of money. I've lost not less than 35,000 Ghana cedi. So if after this, and most of our colleagues, they've lost interest. In fact, it's disastrous.
Veterinary officers at the Jeso Public Health Directorate have been assessing the situation. To avoid such disease outbreaks in the future, the farmers are advised to observe proper biosecurity practices. Higa Oforiwa is the Chief Technical Officer for Public Health in charge of disease control.
What we are entreating them is to do the cleaning and disinfection for some time so that they leave their farm bare for some months. After that, we will let them bring in new animals to try and rear them to see if the disease is totally eradicated.
Meanwhile, the farmers have begun putting in measures to get them back to business, but yet to get clearance from the health officials.
Na ombe mai spray ni ade ade ha na yale no efiri hakra ansa na ya start adwuma ne foforo na nso so se na mo se kan kire se Ghana ban eniska nti so mbe kunkumwa ni nyina akra na nya de a ebia compensation bi ebefiri ba bi aba nti no ya de asat now de ya ankasa empedro ni ade na spray ha
so obi be free outside de na aboa ba ha so obi kum de ya twam and at times so how obi wo kra winnim no na wa ba o say wan wi sem wa ha no oba be hwe wo mo enu say say seize fi say nim ba bia o firi a wo ye de oba.
Madam Oforiwa says it will take close to 6 months for them to start working on this space again.
So what is happening here is that most of the farmers are waiting for their pigs to die from the African swine fever because most of them have been affected by the disease. Then they bury them. This has become a major cause of worry for most of the farmers who now would have to wait for 6 months before they can bounce back to their business. My name is Prince Apia, reporting from Jeso.
And Prince Apia is still on that beat for us. Thankfully, he joins us via Zoom on the very latest when it comes to this situation. Hundreds of pigs, devastating, I should say. Well, Prince, tell us what you have been able to follow up in terms of this situation, because I know you've been doing an extensive work on it.
Say that currently, most of the pictures we saw in that video there, most of the pigs have died. So the numbers are running into 3,000 and over now. Now the worrying thing is that the veterinary officers have asked the farmers to try and find a way to disinfect the farms. They've asked them to buy some chemicals. And at this point, most of the farmers don't have enough capital, enough money available to buy those chemicals. So now they are trying to mobilize some funds to get those chemicals to disinfect. Again, the municipal chief executive, the municipal assembly, just so have contacted the farmers and have asked them to put together the losses and the cost of what is needed for them to get back into their farms again, and that is also being done. And so that is the situation currently. The worrying thing now is that the farm that used to have almost 4,000 pigs now can count less than 60 pigs in the pens now.
And how long ago were they struck by this?
So this happened close to 3 weeks ago. And so right from Tuesday that we reported this particular story, it was only 2,000 pigs that were affected. So from that time to now, more than 3,000 have been affected. So 1,000 more have been affected by the African swine fever. We are told that the disease has 100.
Oh no. Prince Apia, they're reporting on the situation, especially in the Edrisu municipality. So since he first filed that report that we saw earlier, more pigs have been claimed by the African swine fever. More than 3,000 pigs now have been affected, and it appears that this is really affecting pig farmers in the area. We'll try and establish connection again with Prince Apia. Prince, thankfully you're back with us. So let's find out from you, I'm sure in your interaction with these farmers, what exactly were the signs that were exhibited and how come they did not pick it up early enough?
So for them, they felt it was one of the symptoms of diarrhea that normally affects the pigs. And so they contacted some veterinary officers to come check it out from them. And when the veterinary officers came, they tried to treat the animals until they realized that there were further symptoms. Now the pigs were not active in their pens anymore. Their blood started oozing from their ears and some of them from their eyes. And that is where they realized it was serious. And then the animals started dying, and that was when samples were sent to the Marseille laboratory, the veterinary laboratory, to understudy and diagnose that indeed this was African swine fever. And from that point, the animals started dying, and they had to distance themselves from engaging the animals in any sort of way. Just wait for them to die, and then they bury them. Okay, so would you say that it's just the Edrisu municipality that has been hit by this? Have we been able to contain it in that municipality, or there's a further spread? So currently, the information we have is that it's been contained. It's been contained in the Edrisu cluster, but we are hearing that some animals in the Techiman area have also been affected in a separate incident. But for the Ashanti region, they managed to contain it in the Edrisu cluster. And so that is what is happening now. The health officials are doing so well to ensure that it doesn't spread to other farms in the Kumasi or neighboring communities. So I know that these farmers may have been counting their losses at this time. Have they been able to quantify in terms of how much exactly they've lost with this 3,000 pigs? Yeah, they are still doing that. What we know is that they sell the pigs when they are 50 kilos and above. And as at the time the animals started dying, they were preparing for the Christmas festivities. So most of them were giving them so much food to get that particular weight, and some had even crossed the 100-kilo weight. And so that was running into hundreds of Ghana cedis, and they are selling 40 cedis per kilo. So if you do the calculation, they were expecting so much money this festive season, and unfortunately this disaster has struck them. Prince Apia, thank you very much for reporting on this for us, and we know that you'll still be on the beat and bring us more on this latest development is the African swine fever. Let me bring in Dr. Benjamin Kisisasu. He's a member of the Risk Communication and Mobilization at the Veterinary Service. Thankfully, he also joins us via Zoom. We're grateful, sir, for your time. So
3,000 pigs gone waste, and that's not good news for those of us who love pork. But the main concern for me is that these pigs, the pigs that we've lost, how are we hoping that it does not get onto the market? What are we doing about it?
Okay, good afternoon to your viewers. And first of all, with African swine fever, it's not zoonotic, and it doesn't transmit to humans. It's just of economic importance, huge economic importance. So if you look at the report, the farmers were counting their losses, and internationally, it is known as a disease of economic importance, whereby farmers normally lose a lot of money.
Okay.
So for what we do normally do that, once they get it, we confirm you are supposed to come into the store. If we resist, no matter what, the disease takes its course and gets all the pigs die. The only issue we have is within those time, we could get this disease to spread to other farms. Actually, in September, it occurred in Tetima, Bono region.
Okay.
And now we've had a share in Asante region. So we are hoping that good work will be done on it so we can contain the issue.
Okay. So what I was directly finding out from you is if these farmers have to dispose of the animals that they've lost, is there a system, a mechanism in place to ensure that it does not find itself onto the market? Because most of the time, once the animal dies, they find a way to sell it to us, consumers.
Yes. So once the farm was suspended, when the pest came out, the veterinary officer released alert to all the slaughter facilities in those areas. Even from the video, you heard that the woman has said that you don't allow people now to come and slaughter there, because that has been noted to be an outbreak area. Okay. So constantly meet inspectors and people, and we still need the general public to help us. You know, we have a precious market. You can't really tell. Even the time that samples are being brought, maybe some people may have sneaked the pigs to another place before. So what we normally encourage is that if you find people selling pigs at a lower price, or you find them dead somewhere, let us know. We need to track to help contain the issue. That's the major of this thing. But in case it's find on the market and it doesn't transmit to humans, but the only problem that it could keep on spreading, because we don't know who will leave the marketplace and get it to. Maybe somebody may be keeping one or two in his own house, and by just buying to enjoy, we end up.
Okay. Well, we're
getting it. We know the farmers are aware. They are aware, so they also would help us to continue.
But how many pigs would you say we've lost? Because my colleague was reporting about 3,000 of them. But officially, in terms of the figures that you've been gathering, how many do we have?
So, as I just said, we were speaking to them. Ashanti region said about 3,000, and they are still on it. They were still on the field. We are yet to hear from today. Bono region is also now numbering, as of September, we're about 200. Now, Bono region is crossing 400 pigs. Ashanti region, Greater Accra had only one case of a farm. It is around 40 pigs. So we are looking at all these three regions to make sure that we do not have a further spread to other places.
So at the last check,
look at all this investigation.
So I was asking, at the last check, we have Greater Accra, Ashanti, and Bono regions affected by this.
Yes.
Accra, yes. Greater Accra is just one farm.
Yeah, one farm.
And how many pigs have been affected?
This is a small scale. Oh, it's only 40. It's 40. A small scale farm.
Yeah. 40 pigs.
Yes.
Okay.
40 pigs.
And we are containing the situation, especially in the Greater Accra region, to avoid a spread?
Yes, yes. So much work. So far, that one was recorded last week. Out of that, we have not had any other new case. We have started sensitization of it. The good news is that 2 weeks ago, the Minister of Agri, in helping us to control bird flu, talk about resourcing of veterinary in terms of staff recruitment and logistics. So even getting to hear of this, the directorate have sent a message to him. They are getting a full report to be sent so that certain logistics will come in. Especially in terms of the disinfection that the farmers will complain about. These are issues of concern that we are asking that logistics come in early, so we can also assist. Because already they have made a lot of losses, and they will wish that we give them the best of support so they can easily return back to the business.
So out of the 16 regions in the country, only 3 regions so far have recorded the African swine fever. So does it mean that in the Greater Accra region, I love my pork. Now that there's a case in the Greater Accra region, are you telling me to stop eating it, or what am I supposed to do?
Not at all. We still, as I told you, that doesn't transmit to human. You are encouraged to eat, but make sure that you are buying your meat from a good source and it's well prepared. Normally, I always say, normal times, you should still be buying your meat from good source. You just going for animal that is already dead, that is going to be given to you as sold for you to send home. These are things that we should know. Dead animals are not wholesome. And now we have some slaughter facilities. These are things that the government is looking at, so that very soon we could have almost every meat passing through slaughter, because we still have shop bars getting it from other sources. People buy, and these are porous. We say our market is so porous.
Okay.
But all these things will rely on public notifiers. But the good news is that doesn't spread to humans. But the problem is that when we do encourage the eating of this infected, we end up having it spread to other places. Investigation is still being done as to how it moved from Techiman, because first we had in Techiman, how it got to Ashanti region, how it got to Greater
Accra. Okay, so you are saying we should get it from wholesome sources, but most of us don't buy the live, animals. We only buy the ones that have been prepared, fried, grilled, amongst others. How then do I know that that's a wholesome source?
Yes, in regards to various places like the kebab joint and chow bars, regularly there are authorities, the Ghana Tourism Authority and municipal assemblies. They also help us in this area. If you heard about the GC case, they said the municipalities are coming, because they also will control the movement of these infected pigs outside their municipality to other places. They also play a key role, and they also get their men throughout the market to enter as spies to listen to what is going on. So quickly, if there's any suspicion, they inform a joint task force, which includes veterinary and the police or security agencies. So quickly we are able to service the situation. So these are things that we normally do. So we also tell the public that you should not panic. It doesn't transmit to humans. That is the good news. But within the economic importance, we will need everybody to help us, especially the farmers, to keep the biosecurity and help us contain the issue, so that we could come back to this business and help to provide food for Mother Ghana.
So in the Greater Accra region, which municipality exactly is this? It's
around, we do not want to have a stigmatized, have this area stigmatized, but it's a part of, a greater part of the, a popular place in Greater Accra. So for that we would like to reserve it down, because people who still are not clear about this big issue may end up not doing business today. But the issue is under control. The issue is under control.
Okay, many thanks. Dr. Benjamin Kisisasu, we're grateful for your time. That's the Risk Communications Officer for the Ghana Veterinary Services Directorate, and he's been giving us updates on the African swine fever situation. So it's not a situation of panic at all. The situation, they say, is very much under control, even though we've recorded it in 3 regions out of the 16 as we speak. So it's the Bono, Ashanti, and then, of course, the Greater Accra region. But in the Greater Accra region, only 40 animals have been lost so far. In the Ashanti region, more than 3,000, we're told. In Techiman, 200 pigs have been lost to the swine fever attack. Thankfully, it is not spread from pigs to humans, but you need to know what you buy in terms of your meat. Make sure you buy from wholesome sources. Now, a preliminary analysis by the World Health Organization has revealed Africa's sharp increase in diabetes is clashing with the COVID-19 pandemic, and poor access to vaccines is one of the reasons. The statement presented in advance of World Diabetes Day on 14 November also mentions how Africa's death rates from COVID-19 infections are significantly higher in patients with diabetes. WHO Regional Director for Africa, Dr. Matsidito Mweti, said the COVID-19 pandemic will eventually subside, but Africa is projected in the coming years to experience the highest increase in diabetes globally, and we must act now to prevent new cases. A non-communicable diseases cluster at WHO Regional Office for Africa, Dr. Benido Impoma, advocated for access to testing and treatment. We'll stay a while longer on health because the Kolebu Teaching Hospital is set to offer a cochlear implant surgery for 3 children with hearing problems, which is going to be the first time in the history of Ghana. Sarah Mensah has all the details for us in this report.
For the first time in Ghana's history and in the West African sub-region, the Kolebu Teaching Hospital is set to offer cochlear implant surgery for 3 children, which will provide a sense of hearing for them. This according to the chief executive for the hospital, Dr. Opokuwari Ampuma. According to him, cochlear surgery will be of great benefit to persons who are profoundly deaf or have severe hearing problems. He was speaking at the commissioning of a hostel facility for the Ghana Parents Association for Childhood Cancers, facilitated by the First Lady Rebecca Kufuor.
Madam, this very week, Kolebu is going to offer for the first time in the West Africa sub-region, cochlear implant surgery. Now, there are children who are born deaf; they cannot hear, and so the cochlea is an organ within the ear that allows you to be able to process sound and to hear properly. And so, for the first time in the history of this country and the history of West Africa, we are going to get cochlear implant surgery being done on 3 children. Kolebu Teaching Hospital has got the men, and when they are given the resource, we will deliver excellent health care so that we will meet the needs of our people.
According to the First Lady Rebecca Kufuor, she facilitated the construction of the 52-bed capacity hostel to solve the problem of lack of suitable accommodation for the duration of treatment of affected children with cancer, most especially their parents who travel to Accra from other regions.
As we all know, children with cancer and their families face many challenges. One major challenge is the lack of suitable accommodation for the duration of a child's treatment for those who travel from afar. This may also be a reason why only about 30% of the expected number of children suffering from cancer attend the 2 treatment facilities in Accra and Kumasi each year. For me, therefore, this was a personal mission. We needed a hostel urgently, and time was of the essence. It took a while because it was not always easy to find the finances to do so. But today, the Sunshine Hostel is standing, and I give God all the glory.
Well, we turn our attention to some other stories now, and it has emerged this afternoon in court that a lecturer at the KNUST used his wife, Rodeline Amuadaku's phone to send messages to family members, friends, and himself on the day of her alleged kidnapping. According to facts of the case made available to the Asukwa District Court, Dr. Wilberforce Agri, who made his second court appearance today, sent messages from his wife's phone on the day he claimed she had been kidnapped. Ohiming Teria was in court for us. Thankfully, he joins us with all the details. First, Ohiming, let's take a brief background. Let's talk about it. So this particular story and how Rodeline got missing.
Yes, MFR, what we do know is that on 30th of August 2021, the reports emerged that Rodeline Amuadaku, who works at the Lands Commission office in Kumasi, has gone missing. And this, brought the attention of both friends and work colleagues, as well as residents in the Ashanti region, to join hands in looking and then searching for Rodeline Amuadaku. And on the 2nd September, we learned that the husband, Dr. Wilberforce Agri, reported at the KNUST police station that indeed her wife has been kidnapped. So this drew police attention, and investigations into the alleged kidnapping began. And on 6 October 2021, then we learned that police arrested Dr. Wilberforce Agri based on some vital information that he provided police with. According to court documents that I cited today at the Asukwa District Court, Dr. Wilberforce told the police that on that fateful day that his wife got missing, he received some messages on his phone. The message was all about the fact that the wife says she had been kidnapped, and that police started looking into these messages. So it was through police investigations that they established that some friends of Rhodalyn received the message, as well as some family members. And the husband himself also did receive the message on his phone. So investigations revealed that the message was actually sent from the Dr. Agri's KNUST campus home, located at Okodie Street at KNUST. And then this drew the attention of the police to the fact that once the message came closer or within the range of the lecturer's home on campus, then he could be involved. So police arrested him and charged him provisionally for kidnapping based on the Section 89 of the Criminal Offences Act, that is Act 2960. So today he made his second court appearance at the Asokwa District Court, and the prosecution prayed with the court to remand him into police custody to enable police prosecution and investigations continue to unravel the circumstances surrounding the disappearance of Mrs. Rhodalyn Amwadaku. And then the husband also provided some vital information to the police to the extent that there's a gentleman whose name he mentioned as Rookie. This particular Rookie, according to police, in this caution statement to them, it did indicate had been contracted to harm his family. And when Rookie came and realized that the children were of tender age, then he decided to spare them, but took the wife to an area in the Volta Lake, which he is not able to specifically give location to police as to which particular spot. And then he is also unable to provide police where the phone of the wife is, or his wife's location. So these are the missing links in the police investigations, which has brought us to this stage.
Robert Fosagui himself in court for all this proceeding today, because earlier we know that the police had mentioned that they are taking him for some psychiatric examination amongst others. What was his demeanor and all throughout this?
Yes, he was in court through today. First, when he entered the accused box, I could see him nodding his head here and there, but later he became sober when the court proceedings started. And when the court has come to conclusion that he should be remanded into police custody, this same information was communicated to him. So I saw the court interpreter getting closer to him, and he also getting closer in the box and then receiving this information. And later, when he was walked out of the court premises, he met some family members, and I could see him chatting with some of these family members who were in court. So I would say the issue of his examination or psychological examination did not come up today in court.
Okay, well, but have we been giving any explanation? Was the court giving an explanation as to why he had the wife's phone in his possession at the time he was supposed to have been kidnapped?
Not really. The subject for today's hearing was basically for the lawyers for Dr. Wilberforce agreed to pray for a bail for him. So that was the subject or the bone of contention in court today. His lawyers were three, and the three lawyers came together to plead with the court for him to be granted bail. But prosecution stood on this ground, saying that police are still picking vital information and some evidence that could actually unbreak the story. So it will be too early for the court to grant him bail, and continue praying with the court to remand him until 29th of this month. So the judge agreed to the prosecution and then granted the wish of the prosecution. But then I'll say that lawyers for Dr. Wilberforce were on their feet, arguing that the state cannot go on a fishing expedition, arresting people and bringing them to court, and then create the indulgence that the state is still gathering evidence, and that if the state, lacks that evidence, there was no need for them to be punishing innocent citizens like Dr. Wilberforce Agri, who has already gone through a lot in court as far as the investigations are concerned. So the issue of as to where the phone is, where the wife is, did not even come up in court. But definitely, I think it will come up subsequently.
But I know you've been snooping around about this. Is there still hope that indeed Rodeling will be found, not just found, but alive?
It is very, very difficult and too early at this moment, because police themselves will tell you we are still investigating. So once police investigations are ongoing, we'll keep our fingers crossed and continue following the case. We'll update our viewers as and when the important informations do fall.
And it's been how many months already since she went missing? Just refresh our memories.
Rodelyn Amwadako went missing on August 30th. So we are in November. So some months down, but we are still counting.
Ohiming Teria, we are grateful. That's Ohiming Teria of our security desk, a key member of the security desk, giving us details of this particular development in court today, Dr. Wilberforce. But Ohiming, if you're still with me, I would first quickly want to find out about Dr. Wilberforce Agri. Do we know anything about him, apart from him being a KNUST lecturer?
Yes, we have some information, background information about him, but for the sake of this conversation, I would like to keep this information to my chest. But my information indicates that he is the head of petroleum at KNUST, and a lot of information has come sometimes because of the nature of this case. It's not every information that we can put out there. But let me assure our viewers that we'll continue to update them as and when this information come up.
Thank you so much, Ohiming Teria, there with more on this. And that's the latest development. Dr. Wilberforce Agri, that KNUST lecturer, is currently in police custody over the wife going missing. And we are told that the latest today is that he sent messages from the wife's phone and the day that she's supposed to have been kidnapped. We've seen tweets from the police also on this, insisting that they are working on this issue, and then they are hoping to get to the bottom of it. We are following it also here at JoyNews and bring you more. It's a good time to take a quick break here on The Pulse. When we return, we have sports. We also have Let's Talk Showbiz. That's our show for today here on The Pulse. And for this week, another exciting edition comes your way next week right here on the JoyNews channel. But in the meantime, we have sports, and then right after it, we talk showbiz right here on the JoyNews channel. In the meantime, please log on to myjoyonline.com for more news, everything that you need to know right there on myjoyonline.com. And don't forget to share once you read the stories on myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa Apau. Many thanks for your company. Enjoy the weekend, and remember that we have News File tomorrow coming your way as well. But keep tuning and watch sports, and Let's Talk Showbiz.